Being a flight attendant isn't quite as glamorous as it seems. Cooped up in a glorified tin can with people who really want to be somewhere else can be both trying and tiring, especially when those passengers are obnoxious as well. Here's a list of the kinds of passengers that flight attendants hate most. We understand it can get frustrating when you're trying to get the flight attendant's attention. You may have pressed the call button, waved, raised your hand, but you still didn't get the attention of the flight staff. There's one thing you must not do regardless of how annoyed you are, though. Do not touch the flight attendants. Imagine crawling on their skin just to get their nerves when 1,000 minor requests. According to a recent survey by the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA, nearly 70% of flight attendants in the U.S. have experienced sexual harassment in their careers. 18% of the flight attendants surveyed said passengers have touched, felt, pulled, grabbed, groped, slapped, rubbed, and fondled them. What might appear to be an innocent touch to you strikes at the heart of the problems many of our flight attendants face on a daily basis. On the other hand, there are passengers who won't even press the call button for an attendant, preferring to go and see them where they need something. On some Asian carriers, this is usually greeted with surprise. They don't really mind you pressing the call button. In fact, this is always appreciated. Not wanting to be touched, grabbed, poked by passengers and fellow crew does not mean they are in the wrong job. It means that flight attendants are seeking to be treated as fellow human beings. Not respecting that means they are the wrong sort of passenger. Babies tend to cry a lot. They cry in the house, the car, train, and yes, planes. Usually this is not a big deal when flying, and flight attendants couldn't really care. But when a flight attendant sees that the parent is not doing anything about it, especially if the baby is really loud, it gets on their nerves. Moreover, flight attendants hate it even more when there is a crying baby in first or business class. The point of flying in these classes on the airplane is to sleep and relax in comfort, but when there's a baby crying loudly, the experience is ruined for everybody. In this video, a popular football team distracts an air hostess while reading out the safety announcement. This went viral. It might be fun for the youngsters, but the mood of the stewardess was something else. You can imagine the same flight attendants leaving their houses every morning to serve such groups. Groups of teens might be loud and distracting to other passengers, and the flight attendants must ensure everyone is comfortable. Even for the funniest flight attendants are in for a bumpy ride with this kind of passengers on board. Headphones were created for a purpose. Your fellow passengers don't have to bear with your taste of music or the TV show you pick. But, just as it is on the subway, some flight passengers opt for headphones that also serve as mini speakers, reaching everyone within a 5-foot radius. Half of passengers interviewed listed fellow passengers who played loud music or talk really loud as the worst spoiler of flights. The two things that flight attendants want for all passengers is safety and comfort. For almost all flights, passengers get where they want to go safely. This is all cabin crew's first priority. But when it comes to comfort, this is a different story. Some of flight attendants' worst nightmare are those people who kick the seat in front of them. Another thing flight attendants hate is the overly talkative and loud passengers. Obviously, it's fine to talk on planes, but when a flight attendant sees one passenger talking too much to another passenger who looks like he or she is not interested, then they have a problem. Cough. Demand for bottomless cocktails and shots transcends all other disgusting behavior. Since free alcohol is available throughout the business and first class cabin, a flight can easily turn into a wild party. A whopping 45% of passengers said they cannot stand sharing airspace with a booze hound. We were also slightly surprised that only 10% admitted to having more than 2 drinks on a flight or in the airport before the flight. Maybe they just lost track. But don't be surprised to see previously sober passengers tipping as they disembark. There's no end to pain in the backside for cabin crew. Check out these others. The galley of the plane is where the staff convene and prepare your food and beverages. Don't hang out there. It's just rude when someone is working a long shift dealing with over 200 passengers in various moods. I imagine it can get pretty tiresome, so give the flight attendant some peace and quiet to prepare your meal at the very least, or you may end up with a cranky member of staff. The galley is essentially the staff room, and maybe where the crew go to calm their frayed nerves after stomaching our nonsense. Dear Lord. Feet are apparently gross to look at in any case. A stranger's feet on your face in a plane is the worst. If you like to air your toes, please, not on a plane. This is not your living room, so you just can't do that. Imagine how much it would stink if everyone were to remove their socks and shoes. Also imagine if 2 pairs of bare feet are positioned on either side of your seat. I think I'd get really sick. Poor flight attendants would have to continue smiling even when they want to shut their mouths, noses, and eyes. Could we all agree to keep our stinkers in the shoes? Share your sentiments in the comments section. Everyone likes pushing big red buttons and getting help and all, but please try and minimize your pushiness when on board a plane. The call button is there for emergencies. For snacks and pillows, you can raise your hand or wave, but continuously pushing the button for nuts will only drive the cabin crew nuts. There's no federal law that prohibits in-flight photography. Taking pictures of crew members working is not permitted by most U.S. airlines, though. This is a risk to the safety of passengers and crew as well as the cabin, but there might be different rules for different airlines. Whatever the case, taking pictures and shooting videos without permission is not welcome anywhere in the world. When you see people taking videos of air hostess and post them on social media, it definitely doesn't sit well with the rest of the cabin staff. So please ask for permission. Passengers routinely grab the emergency flotation devices under their seats and other stuff before exiting the aircraft. There are reports that passengers also steal items such as pillows, headphones, and blankets from first class. There are also passengers who pinch snacks from trolleys when the attendants are facing elsewhere. Obviously, these are the worst type of passengers because they leave the attendants to pay for the snacks. It's actually a lot easier to get drunk at the higher altitude. A simple round of shots might quickly escalate into a comedy flight. Passengers are usually unaware of the effects of this altitude change and so end up ridiculously drunk even when they don't intend to. If you bring your own alcohol on board, there is no way for the cabin crew to monitor your alcohol. The last thing you want to be doing is throwing up as the plane is landing. Your seatbelt will be locked so you can't go to the bathroom, and you will have to bear with your stinking self for a few minutes. Every reasonable person understands the presence and importance of priority boarding. It allows parents with toddlers and disabled passengers to board the plane safely and conveniently. Despite this, there are some travelers who rush the queue at the boarding gate to get on board first, either oblivious to the rules or ignorant to the fact that there are rules against that. Then comes the howls of anguish and dismay when priority passengers are boarded first, as if they have been victim of a major injustice. Do you ever wonder why airlines keep the boarding gates open after everyone else is boarded? There is always a latecomer who gets in cramming some duty-free shopping or someone who took too long to get their quick nap elsewhere. Even when a flight is delayed by bad weather or something else, the late will always be late. There is always someone who wants to get their bags down first. They want to beat the queue at immigration, or they just want to use the airport Wi-Fi. But the cabin door is never going to open until all systems are in place. So why do they stand up so soon? Even by rushing to be one of the first off will only save them a couple of minutes. I like it when I find these disgusticans being delayed at the clearance desks. I get some kind of contentment revenge. How about you? On the other end are passengers spend ages putting their shoes on, checking that they haven't left anything in the seat pocket, taking selfies, going to the toilet. Flight attendants are ever so drained when the plane stops that they want to quit smiling, drop to a bed, and rest their tired legs. Besides this, delays in embarking does cause subsequent delays for other passengers and flights and heavy fines on the offending airline. We all know the drill for takeoff and landing. Seatbelts on, seat straight up, tray tables up, window blinds open, bags stowed away, phones off or set on flight mode, etc. Flight attendants don't have to patrol the cabin looking for people to tell off. Passengers can make sure the cabin is secure for takeoff and landing for their own and everyone's safety. 90% of emergencies happen during takeoff and landing. In each situation, everyone has roughly 90 seconds to get out of the plane. So if the plane needs to be evacuated, it's going to be a whole lot slower if bags are in the way and seats are back, making it hard for the people behind to get out. If passengers and belongings are not secure, the captain may delay takeoff or landing in order to prevent any injuries. So it's up to you really to decide when you take off and land. Which passenger do you find most annoying? Did you find such people while traveling? Share your experiences in the comment section below. Like always, if you enjoyed it, be sure to give us a big thumbs up and leave us some love in the comment section. To keep up to date with all of our awesome videos, be sure to hit subscribe and turn your notifications on to never miss a thing. Until next time, do take care of yourself.